It's good to see you. Thanks, Minnie, for coming in. It's great to see you. We'll just wait for a few more people to come along and we'll get started. It's great to see you all.
Welcome everyone to Alpha Online. It's so good to have you with us this evening for our Alpha Taster session. We're just waiting for a few more to join us and then we'll make a start. I hope everyone has a cup of tea or coffee on hand for this evening and to relax and to be able to join in with what we're going to learn and share tonight. Big welcome to those that are just joining us. You're very welcome this evening. We're going to get underway in about 1 minute, I'd say, once everyone's joined us. We're waiting on a couple more people.
Somebody's got a little feedback there.
There's a couple more people coming in right now.
Hi, Emily. Hi, everybody. How are you? Diane,
welcome.
Diane and Liam here. So
nice to see you.
Thank you.
And you too, Emily.
Now, we're literally really taking the taster literally because we're here tasting fish and chips as well.
Oh my gosh.
We just got in the door.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind. We might actually take, kind of make us blank while we're eating them.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll get underway. I think most of us have arrived now. So you're very, very welcome to this taster evening. My name is Emily Morrissey, and I work for Alpha Ireland. And I recognise lots of familiar faces this evening. And we're really thrilled to be able to host this evening and show you how straightforward it is to host an Alpha course online. So being an Alpha taster, our hope is by the end of it, you'll have confidence to be able to host an Alpha course in your own parishes. We're going to run through the format of a typical Alpha session tonight. And we're going to pinpoint some of the skills that makes hosting Alpha Online a little bit easier. So the order of the evening will be very similar to what you would do when hosting your own Alpha course. I'm going to start by some introductions, introduce the team for the evening. And actually, I'm sure they actually don't need any introduction. Well, you all know John. John is co-hosting this evening. And he'll also be a small group leader in our discussion time together in breakout rooms. And then Dan, give us a wave there. Dan is going to look after all the tech. So he takes the stress out of the call. He will look after sharing all the videos and so that we can just have a good time chatting and conversing. So the Dan tech person is the key to an Alpha course online. And he's also going to host some discussions in our small groups. So thank you, Dan. So you might end up, when you start your Alpha course, introducing your team a few times at the beginning. Often some people don't join for week 1. They might join in week 2 or week 3. So initially you might find you're introducing your team for the first couple of nights. And then once you get into week 3, 4, 5, people are starting to get to know each other. But it is good to keep repeating who we are and what we do and how welcome everybody is. So let me briefly just outline the plan for the evening. Alpha Online runs for about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. It's a good bit shorter than a normal Alpha course, which I suppose there's no food. Part of it cuts it down, but also online it's a little bit more intense. So we have found that an hour to an hour and 15 minutes is kind of the ideal length. As well, guests like to know that they're going to finish on time, that it will finish when we say it will. So that is something to try and be quite strict about. to kind of stick to the time. So tonight we aim to be done within an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll start this evening with a short testimony from somebody that has been on an Alpha course and what it felt like joining Alpha for the first time. Then we're going to talk to Sharon Ross. Sharon is from St. Catherine's in Dublin 8, and she's currently started an Alpha course online. So it would be great to get her feedback of how it's going at the moment. Then we're going to watch 5 minutes from the first session of Alpha. We thought we'd just do 5 minutes, and then we'd spend some time, well, John's going to spend some time showing us how to share the links easily on the platform. So we thought we'd just do 5 minutes and then move into that. Then after that, we're going to go into our breakout rooms for about 10 minutes for chat and discussion and ask any questions. We'll be back out to talk to Regina. I see Regina somewhere. Regina McCarrick is from St. Patrick's Church in Donabate, and she is hosting Alpha at the moment and hosted last year. So we'll have some great tips for us. And then to finish, John will just navigate us around the My Alpha platform and our website. There's lots of resources that are available to people hosting Alpha online. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan for this evening. Any questions you have during this sort of next hour, jot them down and either talk to us in our breakout session or come back to us afterwards by email or call. That would be great. So I'm going to hand over to Dan now. He's going to lead us in an icebreaker game and how best to navigate Zoom during the hour.
Thank you, Emily. It's really great to see so many faces on here tonight. I've seen a fair number of you on some of our prayer calls or things in the past. It's great to see you again, and it's great to see these new faces. So the first couple online Alpha courses, it's very important to make sure people are familiar with the controls of the Zoom platform. So we're going to play just a short game that helps people understand some of the basics on their end of it. So in your own little box where you see your picture and your name, there's going to be 3 dots in the top right corner. Go ahead and click that and select rename. And I want you to rename yourself as your favorite fruit. Looks like we've got 1 or 2 that just popped in. I just admitted somebody else there. So if you didn't catch that, we're just doing a quick tech game to make sure everybody knows how to use the controls of Zoom. So go ahead and rename yourself with the 3 dots in the top right corner with your favorite fruit. And while she does that, I'll explain the next step here. In the bottom left of the screen for Zoom, there's going to be a mute button, and next to it is stop video. So you're going to use that to turn on and off your video. It won't stop the Zoom from going. It'll just stop your picture from being present. It's a very useful tool if you are in a rural area and you're trying to watch the Alpha courses and you're having some tech issues. If it's buffering or it's stopping and starting, a lot of times turning off your video will be a big help in the quality of that. So I see a bunch of fruits on screen here. That's great. When I say the color of your fruit, I want you to turn off your video and leave it off until I tell you to turn it on. So if your fruit or your favorite fruit is, let's start with orange. Go ahead and turn off your video for me. All right, there's one there. Let's go with red. Okay, let's try green. Oh, we're narrowing it down here. And let's do yellow. All right, and then I see raspberry. I would have thought that was red, but let's try pink or raspberry itself. All right, so now we've turned our videos off. On the count of 3, stop video again. That start video button, I'm sorry, there's a little red line through it. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, now in the middle of the bottom of your screen is a chat function. If you have questions during this, if you have problems with the technology or anything going on, feel free to use that chat button. And you can actually select myself or John or Emily to send a chat directly to. So if during this taster event tonight, you do have a question or a problem with the technology, go ahead and send me a message directly and I'll help you out there.
To Banana.
To Banana, directly to Banana. So thank you, John, for catching that. We'll take a second and rename ourselves. And when you do that, will you give me your name as well as which church you're here representing? Or if you're just representing your own Alpha interests, that's fine too. All right, while you're doing that, we're actually going to move on to the next step here. We've got just a short video from a pretty famous rugby player here talking briefly about Alpha. If the sound is too loud on your end, feel free to adjust your headphones or your speakers up and down on your computer. We'll try and keep it at about a medium volume so it's not too loud for anyone.
My name's Hugo Monnier. I'm 30 years old. I'm a former rugby player. I used to play for a team called Harlequins in London, played for England and the British and Irish Lions. I'm now a commentator / pundit, so I've gone from playing rugby to talking about it, which is great. Rugby's such a physical game. On a Saturday, you get beaten up, you really do. Sunday, you're feeling like your body's in pieces, and Monday's part of the recovery process. And we had this new masseuse come in, her name was Rachel, and I was asking her what she'd been up to at the weekend, and she said she'd been at church, and I was like, oh wow, well that's really cool, nice. And we progressed the conversation, asked her what she was up to in the week, and she said she's going on an Alpha course. Had I heard of it? And I was like, well, I'd seen the signage, seen it on the buses, I've seen it in and around London, but didn't really know too much about it. But I started talking about it, and she said, well, you should try it out. In fact, there's a course starting next week at Holy Trinity Brompton, led by Nicky Gumbel. So we went. I was nervous, didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I literally thought it'd be like 10 people in a room, candle, glass of water, and people just kind of unloading all their troubles, and me walking away more depressed than what I came with. Couldn't be any further from the truth. Turned up and people queuing outside HTB, 1,500 people rock up. There was music, there was light, there was life. It was unbelievable. And for me, as a rugby player, there was free food. I was sold. My experience of church beforehand had been, you go to church, you get spoken at, you nod your head, you go home. But it was amazing to be engaged in conversation. Someone gave a talk on the various different topics which you speak about. I got to listen, digest it, and then actually speak to other people within the small groups about what it was. There was loads of different people from different backgrounds. I remember the first ever chat we had, there was someone who completely rubbished the talk. So it was like, what did you think of it? And he was like, I can't say exactly what he said, but he was pretty aggressive and he was pretty adamant that what we were saying were complete lies. And I was like, wow, like for a start, I've never heard anyone speak up in church like that. And secondly, well, if he can say that, it means we can say anything we want, which is great. And it wasn't like anyone was offended. And the one word it kept coming back to was respect, 100%.
Every Alpha session has 3 key elements: food, talk, and...
So I am delighted to have Sharon here with us this evening. Sharon, as I said, is from St. Catherine's in Thomas Street, and she has got a huge amount of experience hosting Alpha in the past, a physical offline Alpha, but has now taken her Alpha online. So thank you, Sharon, for being with us.
Thanks, Emma.
So I suppose I'll start with, you started running your course in January. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. We just finished week 4 this week. We've about 30 participants, evenly broken up between guests and helpers and hosts. So it's a great balance, and it's going really well.
And you find now that you're into week 4, you're a bit more relaxed and things are going, it's a bit more straightforward.
Yes, anything that could go wrong seems to go wrong in week 4.
Right. And how are you finding the online version compared to the in-person Alpha that you would have done in the past?
This is the incredible surprise. What we have been discovering is actually there's incredible advantages to running Alpha online. And the first is I'm not running around making 1,000 cups of tea and cleaning up afterwards, which is actually really, really great. So there's practical advantages. People come relaxed. We started last week by all showing off our jammy bottoms so that we're all relaxed. We're at home. We are coming really as ourselves, I think, because we're at home. There's no setting up, no clearing. Love all of that. But then a really surprising thing I noticed last week is people are unbelievably open when they're watching a video because they're so safe and comfortable at home. So we encourage everybody to turn off their video, turn off their sound. And it just means that if you're being impacted by the Holy Spirit while you're watching one of the films, nobody else is watching you. If there's a tear, if you're, however you're responding, it's all really private. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're seeing people grow so incredibly through this online alpha. So we've been amazed, absolutely amazed.
It's really good to hear as well that, you know, people do feel a lot more relaxed at home, and you think that technology or the screen in front of you might be a barrier, but actually it's not. You know, both the host and the guests feel relaxed, so that's really good to hear. What feedback are you getting from your team about kind of building relationships over Zoom between their participants and leaders?
Yeah, I think once you get over the fact that you're just staring at each other on screens, it's actually quite easy to build a relationship with people in your team. So I think one of the ways we've done that is to keep our small groups quite small. So it's 6 to 8 people. We encourage our helpers to use the chat function. That works beautifully. And the helpers are really good at noticing body language, noticing if somebody is wanting to say something but left out. So they can really reach out through the chat function. And yeah, it's obviously not quite the same as you would have in the in-person alpha, where you would maybe go for a pint afterwards. That's probably the piece that we miss, the carrying on of the conversation. But that's the only piece that I find and the team have found have really been lacking. And then I think the final piece that has worked for us is having a central email for people to communicate. So I'm the host, I welcome everybody, and every week I say to the whole group, please feel free to email me at any stage with any questions or any comments. And so people have been doing that. So I kind of am the central person, and then I will connect everybody up so the team can actually reach out to their guests if they want to, but it's very safe because it's done through me first. So there's no sharing of, we're not sharing each other's phone numbers or anything without consent. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well. Actually, I got a piece of feedback from somebody that said that they felt very safe online, and they felt that sometimes they go into a strange building and they might get cornered by somebody into a deep chat about something that they didn't want to talk about to do with faith, and they felt actually that didn't happen on Zoom. They felt much more comfortable and relaxed. So yeah, it's good. And just lastly, tell me a little bit about your prep for this Alpha course in terms of leading up to the first night.
Yeah, so I think building your team is key. It's absolutely key. And I was very fortunate in that I was running a Connect group at the time. So I was able to enthuse all of the people in my Connect group to come along with me. It was like a battle cry, come on, God's on a mission. And we're all coming to, who's with me? And I really just threw it out to the group that way. And almost everybody said, yes, we're with you. But then on top of that, so I had, maybe 6 to 8 people come with me from the Connect group, but I reached out to other people who had done Alpha previously face-to-face, and I invited everybody to come back. So anybody who was a guest, I asked them to come back as a helper. Anybody who was a helper, I asked them to come back and maybe lead a group. So it was a good mixture between a team that we already had and then people from previous courses. And then what we did is we had 3 training sessions. So the first one, John, you'll remember well, John came and talked us through all of the things that we need to do, which is brilliant because Alpha Ireland give you such support when you're running something online. So it takes away all the fear. And he kind of demonstrated how to do it while he was training us, which is brilliant. Then we had a second session where we just showed a short video, and then it was all about questions and answers. And then our final session was prayer. We just got everybody praying. And I still remember John saying, just soak this thing in prayer. So that has really stuck with me. Prayer is key to all of this.
Yeah, and it's great to have actually a prayer team outside the team that are doing Alpha, specifically just praying for each evening, praying for the guests throughout the 11 weeks. So yeah, I'd agree with you. Well, thank you, Sharon. That was really helpful. And thanks for being with us. So John, I'll hand over back to you now. We're going to look at a 5-minute clip of tonight's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. Thanks a million for that. It was I really love hearing that, not just because Sharon was saying that I was involved in it, but I remember having the conversations with Sharon and the team and kind of doing some training. You could tell that something special was happening with like a group of people who are really fired up, and I think that kind of makes a big difference when you have a group of people who are really stepping out together. The team dynamic really makes a massive difference. So it's really good to hear that that's still the case. So what we generally kind of do is, you start off welcoming people, obviously, and we've had a chance to kind of chat and have the fun Dan games there with the icebreakers and that kind of thing. And so generally then you would move into sharing the video. So the videos we're going to go through a little bit later on where exactly you can find the videos for Alpha Online. But this one that we're going to start with, we're just going to show a few minutes of the first video to show you how it can be shared within Zoom itself. And we'll talk a little bit afterwards around different things that you can do to troubleshoot any problems that you have. But sit back and relax, and we're now going to share the first 5 minutes of the first video, which is there more to life than this?
Hi, I'm Nicky. Welcome to Alpha. Life is busy. Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? What's happening today? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions. Like, why am I here? Where am I heading? Is this it? Is there more to life than this? These are life's big questions, but there's rarely enough time to think them through properly.
We all have different perspectives on the meaning of life and faith, and Alpha is an opportunity to explore life's big questions.
This is a great place to come together and talk about them openly and honestly. I'm Gemma.
I'm Toby.
And this is Alpha.
I go on Google.
I definitely Google.
I go on Wikipedia.
Internet.
I scroll through all the different answers, and then I try and combine it, and then make my own kind of cornerstone.
Or smart friends.
I don't ask big life questions. It's too hard to answer.
Google or my grandmother.
I meditate or I read.
When I have a big life questions, I probably go to my family.
I haven't really had any mess of what they say.
It's my mom or my dad, basically.
My mom or my dad, maybe my gran.
I get most of my answers from the library in any section there because I don't really trust the people that I'm around.
The key is always to yourself. You got to figure some things out for yourself.
If I'm confused, I go to him first. And he confuses me more.
But when it's something more personal, I try to find it within myself first.
Friends of mine told me that the first night they came to Alpha, they sat in their car for half an hour waiting and watching people going in. And eventually when they'd seen enough normal looking people going in, they thought they'd give it a try.
And one thing that might be going through your mind is, am I going to be the only one there who doesn't believe all this stuff, who's not a Christian, that doesn't go to church? Well, if that's you, then you're in the right place. Alpha is designed for people who wouldn't call themselves Christians or who are not regular churchgoers.
It might feel a bit strange to be discussing life and faith with people that you've never met before, but the best thing about Alpha is often the great friendships that are formed over the weeks.
For much of my life, I was not remotely interested in Christianity. In fact, I don't think I'd ever come to something like Alpha. I was not brought up as a Christian. My father was a secular Jew. he was an agnostic, and my mother didn't go to church, and I had no interest at all in Christianity. First of all, I just thought it was so boring. Everything to me about church, Christianity, religion was just dull and dreary, and it kind of made me feel a little bit guilty. I didn't know why, but I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I also thought it was untrue. I thought I'd sort of thought it through, and I'd come up with these intellectual objections, and I called myself, very pretentiously, I called myself a logical determinist. And I quite enjoyed arguing with people who called themselves Christians. And at university, I had a bit of a reputation for being an argumentative atheist. And I also thought it was irrelevant to my life. I couldn't see how someone who'd lived 2,000 years ago, 2,000 miles away, could have any relevance to my life today. It just seemed outdated and irrelevant. But at the same time, looking back now, I would say something was missing. I say that because I don't think I was living in the moment. I was always looking forward to the next thing in life. So when I was at school, I was thinking, when I finish my exams, maybe that will be when I'm going to really start to enjoy life. I finished my exams, and then after about 3 weeks, I started to think there's got to be more to life than this. And I thought, well, maybe when I've left school, that will be what life's all about. And then I left school, and after about 3 weeks, I started to think, there's got to be more to life than this. I thought, well, maybe the answer is to get a girlfriend. And somehow, I don't know how I managed it, but I managed to find a girlfriend. Again, after about 3 weeks, I started to think, there's got to be more to life than this. And basically, there was something missing. I was longing for more.
Yes, he was longing for more, and if you'd like to know what he was longing for or where he found it, you will have to tune in. Generally, they don't just do 5-minute sections of the videos. Thankfully, the videos all come in together. I just happened to do a 5-minute segment of it so as not to give the game away. But you can watch all of those in a particular place. I'm going to tell you all about that now. But to kind of give you a sense of what the videos are like, if you haven't experienced Alpha before. So I can see Paul there was saying if there's 16 videos but 11 weeks. That's right. Alpha usually takes place over 11 weeks, and there's a number of different sessions and themes, and you can chat in the small groups about specifically how they are broken down. But if it is that you are open and interested in trying to run an Alpha online, there is a place that I'll go through a little bit later on exactly how to get here. So this, can everybody see the Alpha Ireland website? Is that what we're looking at right now? Just want to make sure. Always good to check that the technology is working, by the way. So this is our website. It's alphaireland.org, and you will come in here, and there's a place called My Alpha, and I'll explain exactly everything about this a little bit later on in this. So in that My Alpha, there's something called series materials, and you'll see here, again, I'll take you through all this, so don't worry, you have to get it all now, but on the talks, each individual talk is here. This is the one that we've just watched. So generally what we found is that when you're running an Alpha online, you don't really need to be doing a full-on movie night. This doesn't have to be full-blown 4K HD and 3D and all that kind of stuff. Essentially what we're trying to do is to give people an experience of the videos. We're not necessarily here to try and bowl them over with the technical wizardry of it. So what you want to try and do, especially if you're in an area that might have a bit of difficulty when it comes to the internet, or if you're running an Alpha at a time when there's a lot of people who are trying to use the internet, we'd suggest either using the highest SD version there, which is generally around 228 megabytes, or the lower HD version, depending on how good you think your internet is. As you can see, there's a massive difference here between the full-blown HD one here, which is 707 megabytes, and the lower one there at 228. So essentially, just so that you're not kind of battling against the internet and trying to upload a huge amount of information at once. So if you can take a lower resolution version, you're able to kind of really share that with people. But also in here, if you select that it's an online Alpha, you have a share link that's down here. So let's say the worst thing happens, you're trying to share the video, there's technical issues, things aren't happening, you're trying to share a screen in it and it's not working out. You can copy this link, and then you will be able to share this within the own group chat within there. or you can put it in an email and send that out to people, or if you have a WhatsApp group after week 3 or 4, or different ways that you have of keeping in touch with people, you might be able to kind of share it that way. But the idea is that you have a ready-made answer if you're having any problems with regards to the technical side of things. So most of you will be able to see now that down at the bottom of your screen is this little green button called Share Screen. I'm just going to ask you not to press it right now because, you know, we don't want to be getting in trouble as to what it is, but everyone has the capability of being able to share a screen. And so generally what we found is that it's really good to be able to share the video within the chat, so you have people being able to watch it together, not having to go to a second place and maybe to be able to watch the video or anything. But as we said, if there are issues that are being had, you always have the backup of people being able to click a link like that in the chat there, and that will bring them straight to being able to watch the video on their own, so they're not having to worry about your internet or their internet. They're just able to watch it at their own kind of speed and level that goes with. So I'll have a little bit of time later on where I'll talk you through the process of how you can get into that My Alpha. But that's just to let you know that when you're sharing the video, there's a couple of ways around that, and there's always a workaround. Never ever panic. There's always a workaround to do that. Excellent question, Liam, there as well about advertising the course online. We're going to be going into our small groups now, or we'll be able to ask these questions. So generally, after you've had the moment of being able to share the video, everyone's watching it, that's when we go into the breakout rooms. We're able to go into the small groups to do that. There's a little bit of technical wizardry that Dan is conjuring in the background, having watched all of the Harry Potter movies. He's managed to figure out a way of making it happen online as well. It's a little bit easier than all of that. So we'll let you know kind of in the online trainings further after that how you can do that. But yeah, so that's how you would share the video within it. Back over to you, Emily.
Great. Yeah, so as John said, we're going to take 10 minutes now in our small groups. Dan has put us into three different small groups. I just say that in them, and Sharon touched on this, that online our small groups are a bit smaller than they would be in a offline alpha. I think it's a bit more intense online, and you can't read body language and stuff. So I think sometimes we found anyway feedbacks that 5 people with 2 leaders, 1 host, 1 main leader, and 1 helper is an ideal number for a breakout room. Yeah, so do feel free to ask as many questions as you have in the 10 minutes. We probably won't get through everything because 10 minutes is not enough time, but we can talk later offline if you have any other questions. So over to you, Dan.
All right, we'll see you all in your small groups momentarily.
Excellent. It worked. Lovely, lovely, lovely. It worked for some of us. The rest of them are the naughty ones who decided to stay on. And that's just typical that Emily's in that group, isn't it? Does not just say everything.
They've got about 15 seconds, and then they'll be booted back.
They'll be back.
Emily, thanks for joining us.
Oh, we're all back in here. We were cut short, I'm sure. Was everyone mid-question?
Yeah.
But I know it's good to leave with loads of questions to be answered in the future. So, you know, we as a team are here all the time to answer your questions. So do send us emails if by the end of tonight you haven't had all your questions answered. So I'm just going to move on to have a little chat with Regina McCarrick. She is doing amazing work in her church in Donabate with Youth Alpha, with Adult Alpha, and also raising up leaders to lead Alpha courses. So just really grateful that she's taken the time to be with us. So thank you, Regina.
Thanks, Emily. I'm very excited to be here. I think it's just fantastic to see the people here, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll start with you. Were one of the first people really to host Alpha Online. What were your expectations on how it would go before you started?
So the honest answer is we hadn't a clue. All we knew was that, so the first lockdown happened in the middle of Lent last year, and we had to very quickly change our Lenten programs that we were doing to something, which ended up being WhatsApp video call because nobody was really into Zoom or anything at that point. And I suppose what we had noticed was that, interestingly, there were people joined who hadn't joined us physically. So we knew there was kind of an appetite out there, including people who weren't connected with the church, which was actually really interesting. So it was like, okay, we need to do something. And then we were so conscious of people being locked down. People wanted connection. So we hadn't a clue how it was going to go. I remember having chats with John, actually. We were even at that point thinking, do we do this on WhatsApp video call? What are we going to do? And then Zoom started getting kind of popular. And then I was used to using WebEx, which is similar to Zoom. So yeah, that was the honest answer. We didn't really know how it was going to go, but we knew we had to do it. So we just decided to delve in.
You jumped off. And then, so tell me then how it did go. How was the course then?
So what we did the very first time, because we didn't have a clue how it would go, we just gathered a few people together who were interested in taking this challenge, if you like. And we decided that we'd run a Train the Trainers Alpha. Basically, we decided we want to practice being helpers and hosts and also being participants, because that would give us a sense of what it's like. Because there's no point offering something out and not knowing yourself what it feels like from the other side. So we did the training videos together. We went through that. We workshopped then the Alpha Ireland video on running online. We did all that as prep, but then we basically ran the full Alpha course for ourselves. Okay. And we alternated between helpers, hosts and participants, which gave us a great sense of how it all worked. So we had loads of learnings from that. And interestingly, because they were all so engaged in it, they wanted more time to talk. So they actually said, can we not watch the video live? Can we watch it ahead of time as homework and spend the whole hour talking? Which we did. Halfway through, we started doing that. So that's one option that you can do. Now, clearly, since we started doing the live ones with other participants, that hasn't been needed, except with the youth group. The youth group also came to us and said, we want more time to talk. Can we watch just half the video? And then we give you the homework. So yeah, it was just so interesting being the guinea pigs at one level, but I think it gave us a confidence that we knew how it worked.
Yeah.
You know, and we knew what we were offering people then.
Actually, the feedback people are saying is that the actual Alpha film series works really well on a small screen. It's, you know, it's very engaging. So yeah, it's like it was designed for this moment in time.
Absolutely.
And so I suppose with Alpha Online, people can be from all parts of the country, from all different backgrounds. How did you find navigating people from Cork to Tipperary to Donegal? How did you navigate that?
Well, we even had them further afield. We had Poland and the Canaries as well. So it's been great, actually, and it's fine. You know, it's online, so it doesn't really matter where you are, bar the time difference a little bit. And also, just to say, one other thing we had to navigate was people whose internet wasn't great, or another friend of mine who's got a baby who only sleeps about 20 minutes in the day. So you do have to navigate that a little bit. And we've actually got so those two people ended up doing correspondence Alpha, where they got sent the video, and you know, like they might get sent the questions or kind of deal with it differently. But basically, I suppose one of the key things is respect, and that comes out in the training videos as well, in terms of people from different backgrounds. The location-wise is not an issue at all, as long as their internet is okay. Not an issue whatsoever. It's more just coming from the different backgrounds and just being very respectful. Everybody has to have a chance to speak. The one thing we would find online is, you know, if you're in a physical group, it can be easier to just let the conversation flow over and back. There's a little bit more we found needing to maybe call people's names, especially in the first couple of weeks, to make sure everybody gets to talk, because do you know how internet goes? Sometimes if 2 or 3 people go to talk together, it all just crashes and nobody can hear anybody, and then somebody might back away and not speak. So we do tend to find you might be going around each person a bit more than you would in a normal kind of a physical setting. Other than that, it's worked like a dream, to be honest.
Great. Wow. And then, so tell us a bit, the Holy Spirit Day is probably one of the central parts of the Alpha course. How did you find that, hosting that online?
It was interesting, and you know, I was explaining there in the small group that, so I've experienced it a few different ways. The first way we went about it, we took a vote and we decided we would do it all on the Friday night. We did about a 2.5-hour session on the Friday night, and so because this group were watching videos as homework ahead of time, and just to say, in all cases we used the Alpha Youth video for the first 2 topics. being who is the Holy Spirit and what does the Holy Spirit do, rather than two separate videos, because it's different. You don't have a weekend to spread it out nicely. So they watched that themselves. We came and we chatted about it. Then we watched the next video of how can I be filled, and then we led into about a 40 to a 50-minute worship music with lyrics coming up on screen, using the chat function to raise prayers, and then they could ask to be put into a breakout room for personal prayer. And so then what we did then with another group, I was helping with the Young Church Dublin, and we did a Saturday morning instead of a Friday night.
Yeah.
Then one of our team was also leading the one in Malahide with John, where they did a Friday night and Saturday morning. So this time we're starting off again in 2 weeks' time. We're just currently doing our training. We're going to do that. We're going to do the Friday night and the Saturday morning. But also what we were doing, so within Donabate, what we were doing was offering, let's say, Wednesday night and a Thursday afternoon sessions. We brought them together for the Holy Spirit. So it gave that sense of a bigger community as well. But it's also why the little personal prayer time individually was nice, because they didn't feel they had to kind of raise all their prayers in the chat in front of people who they hadn't built connections with. So that was also important. And I'm happy to send on to yourselves the links to the different music videos that we used in case that's of help to people. We had quite a big selection of them there, all related kind of to the Holy Spirit, and with the lyrics so people can sing along muted if they want to as well.
Okay, yeah. Well, we were chatting in our small group there just about how effective prayer has been over Zoom. You know, we were probably a bit daunted at the start, starting online, that how's this going to work? But actually, we've had amazing prayer sessions in our alphas with people across a screen. So just to be encouraged and not be fazed by the fact that we're not in the same room as people, that it works really well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like we've got so much feedback back on that Holy Spirit weekend as being very, very powerful for people, but also the prayer element of the healing session as well. People found that really, really powerful as well. So absolutely, I think as Nicky Gumbel had said before, the Holy Spirit is not confused by Zoom, and people really do get very moved as well with the music and everything.
Yeah, wow, great. So I suppose time for one more question. The biggest thing, sort of challenge, isn't it, is inviting people on Alpha, and how to invite people for them to say yes. And how did you find you invited people? Was it on social media? Was it a personal invitation?
So we tried a mix of everything, to be honest. We tried the parish Facebook page, the priest reading it out at Mass, the website. And so those are all great means. But what we have found time and again is personal invitation is the way forward, and word of mouth. So if you think of the very first one we did, which was the training team, that was 100% word of mouth. For our first live Alpha, it was 70% personal invitation.
Wow.
20% was an email that was sent to all those currently involved in ministry in the church. So that was sort of quasi-personal, not exactly. And then one person, I think, came through Facebook. They had seen it on Facebook. This current one that we're starting in 2 weeks' time, 100% of the people who've signed up so far have been personal invitation stroke word of mouth of somebody who was on the last one. We actually had somebody wanted to book in because they were a family member of someone who was on the last one before we even started. We knew we were starting another one. And then for the Youth Alpha, well, that was also quite restricted numbers. That was personal invitation. So I would highly recommend the personal invitation. And even if your first Alpha is small, if you even got 4 people to come to your first Alpha, that's 4 more people spreading the word the next time.
Yeah.
So don't be put off if the first time it's hard, because it's a hard concept. If people, first of all, have never heard of Alpha and have never thought about Alpha online, it's a very hard concept to sell in some ways. I had a call from somebody yesterday who would have gotten the letter to the ministry people last time and didn't come. This time was sent a personal text. And he said, I need to have a call before I sign up for this. And he had so many questions. He was worried about, like, what am I going to miss a week? I said, no problem at all. Absolutely. Send you the video afterwards anyway as a link. So it's fine. What if I don't agree with certain things in relation to the church? It doesn't matter. You just come. But if he couldn't have that personal connection with me to ask the questions, he wouldn't have signed up again this time.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Actually, we found as well that the personal invitation for an online course, people have been much more receptive than, I suppose they feel safer. They can come on, they can press the leave button if they don't like what they're hearing. So yeah, the feedback and response has been much better for online invitations. So that's encouraging. Thank you, Regina, for sharing with us. Really helpful. I'm slightly conscious we're running out of time, and I'm not allowed to do that on a taster session. But John is just going to share how best to get to get the best out of our Alpha resources, basically. And he's going to virtually walk us around My Alpha. And is that right, John? Are you there?
I am, yeah, I am. And it's going to be done really quickly because I do not want to get in trouble for being the person to take this over time. So yeah, basically we said at the start that I showed you this thing called My Alpha. Just want to let you know that there's a few things that we're going to be looking at now. So this is the Alpha Ireland website that we said. There's a few trainings on there if you'd like to have a look at it a little bit more. There's some stuff there. If you click the online part of our website and scroll down about halfway, you'll see some of the trainings that we did last year, all for free, all there. They're worth kind of having a perusal if you feel like you need it. In the top right hand corner here, you can see something that says My Alpha. So we click on My Alpha and that brings us into this. So if you already have an account, you can log in here. If you don't have an account, you just sign up. It's the very basic kind of details that you have. But when you then have your account, you can log in. And it's very straightforward. We have a chance to kind of preview the resources. You'll be able to watch the videos beforehand. They'll all be in here, and you can kind of have a look at these series. You can learn more and kind of look at the videos. There's a great learning center that's there that can kind of do all about Alpha Online trainings, good practices for running Alpha Online, all that type of stuff that's in there. So it's all for free, which is amazing. It feels like I'm on an ad right now, but it is for free, so it's all good. You can then create an Alpha, and you can put in all the details that you have. You have the ability either to make that, publish it to our website, whereby people will be able to search when next time there is an Alpha online that's happening. They might be able to see yours, or you don't have to publish it. There's no problem at all. Basically what that does is it just means that you have access to the resources there. So as you can see, I have this imaginatively titled Alpha, online training test Alpha. So you can call yours something a little bit nicer than that if you like. But as you can see, you have everything that's here. This will tell you all that you need, what the next session is. You have a schedule that you just put in the start date for your Alpha, and it will do all the maths for you. It'll tell you where the Holy Spirit weekend needs to go. It'll tell you which session are in there. In Alpha, we say that the first 6 sessions are the ones that need to stay exactly in there. So they're the ones that you can't move around, but you can move around all the others and just kind of knock them around the place. There's some decent stuff in the promotion section as well. We've got some videos that are good to kind of invite people into. There's also some good kind of digital assets that you can use on Facebook or anything, and then promoting to a church, for example, to encourage people to let them know what's going on, and then promoting to guests. So there's kind of 2 different language types that you'd have for that. And the really boon that's right here is the series materials. That has absolutely everything that you need to know, your trainings, all the talks, as we said. You click into these, you're able to download them. You've got share links for them if it is an Alpha online that you're doing. You've got all your guest manuals, everything you could possibly need for doing it. Everything is in there, and it's a really good place to start. You also have a link here that's called Team, and you can invite your team members. You send out an email, they click on that, and they're able to go in and to view everything all as part of the one team too. So that's just a very brief overview of what's there. We'd strongly suggest it's a really good place to start, but we've already put our emails into the chat box there as well. You also know how to get us if you feel like you need anything more. Emily and I are available for coaching calls and all that kind of stuff. So if you feel like you're kind of nearly there but just need another little nudge, please do feel free to jump out. And then I suppose, Emily, I'll let you say about what's next Friday, because if people feel like they might want to come to that, they can do that too.
Great, brilliant. Well, that's pretty much a wrap for tonight. I just thank you all for coming on the call and just taking the time to learn about Online Alpha. It's just great to have you here, and we're here to support you throughout your course. So please feel free to get in touch with any questions or any help you need. And if there are any questions here we didn't get to answer tonight, again, come back to us and we will go through them with you. You know, we're growing and learning together, and we learn off you as much as you learn off us. So just thank you so much, and God bless. And I'm delighted to say it's 2029. We have finished 1 minute early.
Not the year 2029. It is 8:29. We have not taken 8 years to this, but yeah, brilliant. Well done. Thanks a million, guys. It was great to see you all. And if you have anything, feel free to come back. And just a reminder of our Holy Spirit Training Day next Friday that you're all welcome along to. It would be great to see you there too. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Thank you.